I'll start this video by telling you that coldness should accompany you at all times, because at every moment in life an opportunity, a negotiation, or even obstacles can arise, and the best way to handle them is by being cold and rational. This is because people very close to you might be harming you, and you will have to do something about it. You'll need to focus on not listening to your emotions, and only use your rationality to resolve everything in the best way possible. So, coldness is not a behavior you should exhibit occasionally. It should be something that exists within you, and should be a well-formed behavior so that, at any moment, you are prepared to use reason and not emotions. In this video, I will give you some tips on how to make the best decisions and see things more clearly. The first attitude is to not listen to your emotions. At this point, it's necessary to do a quick analysis. You know, that situation where you talk to someone and then wonder, should I tell that person what I think or plan to do? Then you stay with that doubt until you finally make a decision. Many times this desire to tell someone something comes from our emotions, and the problem is that often the decisions made in those moments come from your emotional side. It's in these moments that you need to use reason. Take a moment and reflect. Is it worth it to tell the person what you think? Analyze whether you really want to tell them because you believe it's right or necessary, or if it's just your emotions pushing you to do it. It's very important that you do this analysis. For example, let's assume a situation. You're talking to a friend, and you wonder if you should tell them about a business you're planning. You're very eager to tell them because you're excited and motivated, but that's the issue. You're excited, and maybe that's the big reason you want to tell this person. Then what you should do is analyze the advantages of telling them and what the disadvantages might be. Try to think before you act. Do you want my opinion? If there are no advantages in telling your friend, don't tell them. It's not worth it. Try to control your emotions in these moments because your emotional side is much more communicative than your rational side. Another important attitude is knowing how to set aside emotions to focus on something. For example, you're very angry and nervous because a family member who lives with you had a fight with you, and now your mind is consumed, only thinking about that fight. However, you also have many duties to fulfill, whether for your professional work or your studies. So, what would be the correct attitude? To listen to thoughts that make you more and more angry, even increasing the possibility of another fight, or simply to focus on your responsibilities? Obviously, the answer would be to focus on what you need to do. So, in such moments, you can't feed thoughts that lead you to anger or any intense emotion that takes away your rationality. If you stay there feeding those thoughts, before you know it, 2 or 3 hours will have passed, and you'll still be in the same place without having done any of your responsibilities. In other words, you will have spent time feeding an emotion that isn't even important instead of making your day more productive. Adopt the attitude of noticing when an emotion accumulates in your mind after a situation. If you can cut or control that emotion, your mind will clear up and you will be able to focus on fulfilling your responsibilities for the day. Now I will specifically talk about anger, as it is a topic I consider extremely necessary to discuss. In your life, you will encounter adversaries, that's no secret. But if you're not cold enough to face those people, you'll never be able to overcome them. Marco Corleone, a character from the Godfather trilogy, says that you should never hate your enemies because it affects your judgment, and he's absolutely right. If you hate your opponents so much you can't think clearly, and without reasoning, you will never come up with a good plan to defeat them. Moreover, when you're consumed by anger, you're easily manipulated. If your enemy puts a target in front of you, you'll charge like a bull trying to destroy that target, thinking you're harming your enemy. It's evident that you're being manipulated. As I said, in these moments of manipulation, you're like a bull. If you're very nervous, you'll want to attack everything in your path, but you won't realize that you might be doing exactly what that person wanted you to do. So never put yourself in this situation of hating your opponent. You should respect them. Only then will you have the peace to analyze them completely and thereby obtain the necessary information to defeat them. After discussing anger, I think I need to talk about love. This feeling is the one that blinds many people the most. In fact, I believe it is one of the best emotions a human being can experience. but also one of the most dangerous. If you feed it too much and give yourself over to love, you'll be more blind than with anger, and it can be even more painful. So love is something to be very careful with, and of course, using romantic relationships as an example. After all, it's one of the situations that best represents love. The idea I want to give you is not to tell you to be completely cold and not feel love for the person next to you. That's not it. The message I want to convey is to be careful not to feed this love to the point of leaving no room for your rationality. Let's put it this way. Your partner did something that hurt you deeply, and then you think and say, "Oh, but I love her so much, I'm going to forgive her," because you believe that loving her is a good reason to stay with that person. From my point of view, if she has disappointed you to the point of breaking your trust, you need to analyze the situation coldly and see if it's worth continuing with that person. If the answer from your rationality is no, then it's no longer worth it. Pay attention to reason instead of letting love blind you again. So be careful. Love can lead you down an extremely painful path without you even realizing it. Finally, let's talk about negotiations. When it comes to business, you shouldn't take it personally, only if it's to understand the feelings of the other party in the negotiation, if you want to try to gain some advantage. But if it's to facilitate a negotiation, just because the other party is a family member or a close friend, forget it, it's a mistake. Business is a point where you need to be even colder and more calculating. Always keep in mind that business is business, and that family and friendships are separate from that and should always be kept separate, especially when a negotiation involves money. Try to keep this lesson firmly in your mind and in your life. Are you interested in more tips? Then check out our video, How to Gain Respect. Click now at the top right of the screen. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and don't forget to activate the notification bell to always be informed about new videos. And of course, leave your like and comment. See you in the next video.